weakness is PowerPoint presentations. Because I stayed in one space of ministry for so long, you know, you get into the groove of how you do things. It's hard for me to do PowerPoint. I'm just not a PowerPoint person. I'm a flow type person. So what I do is everything I show on PowerPoint is more or less talking points. Okay, it's talking points, and you'll see what I want to share. What I'm sharing today, and I don't think I said much about doing this morning, I use black as a race as bait because we have, in black history, educating people on black history is not a black thing. You want everybody to know the truth about your race of people and who we are as a people. And so, and then some things you don't want live stream in terms of, let me give you an actual situation that has happened since I've been here at Bethany. If you go back and look at, and it just shows the impact of pastoring a black church, that's my point. If you go back and look at when I first started here, and you look at, and because many of you may not be on YouTube, you may not have been following this, but when you look at where I was on YouTube when I first got here, the views were way sky high. But when you're pastoring a black church and you start speaking to our issues, and when I say black church, I'm talking about predominantly. Obviously, we have people here all from various countries and nationalities and so forth. But when you start speaking a certain truth that people who know you are not familiar with, they stop following you. I don't know if you all remember when I made a comment about black worship and how Europe had framed and impacted our worship and so forth. That's when a lot of people in North America don't know me as a black person. And when you make that truth, because it was a different platform, they stop following you. So I lost about 200 followers from that comment. But it's the truth. When I was at the seminary, I got in trouble with the professor because I wasn't going to sit here and let this man lie to us. And there was some stuff that went down in terms of a comment he made. It wasn't biblical. It was a European opinion, and he was from Europe, literally. And so that's another story. But God calls us to tell the truth. And if you're going to stop following me because I'm telling you the truth, and if you notice this morning, I did something that was very interesting. I held up a reference book. And I'm still trying to find John L. Johnson's book. I have, oh, you do have it? Okay. My wife got my book. I knew we found it. The reason that book is so important is one of the best works out there that anybody's ever done in terms of biblical black history supported by scripture. It's powerful. It's powerful because you can't argue with scripture. And we found the book, and again, I've been, okay, yeah, my wife was, I thought we had lost it. But the reason I do that is because I show a reference that I'm not talking off the top of my head, okay? And, oh, babe, there's a stack of books on top, the ones we pulled out yesterday. Can you get those for me? And the reason why I like to give references is because when I tell you that opinions get us in trouble, I really mean it. I'm not just talking off the top of my head. We need to have reference behind, have some kind of reference point behind what you're talking about, or we're just sharing stuff, okay? Opinions have a dead end, but facts don't, okay? And so what I'm gonna do right now, and I'm gonna cut through the chase, and we won't be as long as, I'm not trying to be here, you know, longer than we need to be. I also asked Shanika to be here today. Shanika represents a part of what I want to share with you today when we get to it in terms of many of you have credit problems and your stuff is not where it needs to be. Well, she's a specialist in that area, and I'm familiar with what she offers. And sometimes you have people in church, in your congregation, that can help you with stuff, and we don't know who they are. And so I ask her here to kind of speak to that. This is not a business deal. And by the way, when we're talking about kingdom business on the Sabbath, this is the best time to talk about God's kingdom is on Sabbath. Because when I did my first session years ago, I had people bring their bills, and bring their stuff and move to a working session. Ellen White says that every church ought to be a training center for the kingdom. Now, I didn't really advertise this afternoon to the community, but in the future, this is what gets to community. If they know we're going to tell people an access as to how to repair bad credit, now, for me, bad credit is not a dead end at all, because you can have good credit and still be broke. You can have 700-800 and still not have what you need. Now, folks, understand, when we're talking about resources, it's not just about money. It's time, talent, influence, all that. But today, we're talking about money. Is that all right, everybody? Because, again, stewardship is not just about money, but for the sake of what I'm going to share with you, just allow me to go there and be comfortable to share that. Because when our finances are not in place, it does impact our faith. Okay, so we know that your talent is just as important, your influence is just as important, and resources is not just about money, so I'm going to cover that here in just a little bit. But let me just start with this statistic here. How much money can God trust us with? Black Americans have an estimated $1.3 trillion in annual purchasing power. Okay? Black spending power is a key driver of the United States economy. I don't know if you all know what's about to happen we're about to Target and some of the others who have withdrawn some commitments that they made to the black community after George Floyd, and they're reneging on that stuff now that Trump won. Well, this is what they're talking about. It goes right back to what happened. I'm not going to deal with Tulsa today, Black Wall Street. I'll deal with that another time. But every time in U.S. history that black people, people of color, have figured it out and became successful in a system that they didn't understand, our cousins always tried to defeat that. That's just a fact. That's just a fact, okay? So understand, this is what they're talking about when it comes down to boycott. Now, as a church, I am not going to get up here on the pulpit and say we need to boycott Target, okay? But I do own my own personal social media page, okay? And so I'm not going to advocate certain things, but I'm just mentioning to you that right now that's in discussion because they're trying to get the attention of society. And the same thing that Rosa Parks and others did, they did what they had to do, okay? When the city started paying more money for gas for those buses that weren't receiving passengers, it got somebody's attention. It's unfortunate that we live in that kind of world, but it is, okay? But check this out. Black spending power is a key driver of the U.S. economy, especially, check this out, especially in the beauty, fashion, entertainment, footwear, automobile purchases, and dining industries. And by the way, that's why we broke. That's nothing new, because we already know this. I have a relative. Are we streaming or not? We are streaming? Okay. I have a relative that is receiving public assistance. And ain't nothing wrong with public assistance if it's to assist you. Notice what I just said now. Public assistance is to assist you. So you get yourself in a situation, and it's supposed to be short term and not a way of life. So let me just get this out right now. So if you're using public assistance as a way of life, you're going to stay broke, because the system is designed to do that. And mind you, there are more Caucasians on public assistance than there are African Americans. And by the way, it's always difficult to find that stat. Try Googling it. A stat that is so obvious, it's hard to find. You'll hear CNN talking about that. But understand it's needed and it's helpful, but it's not meant to be permanent. And the government really is not going to tell you that. Because if they can keep you on there, it justifies some of their spending and make it look as if they're doing something for your community. But they really don't want you in the economy anyhow. So it's one of those situations where if we can find, now folk, we have children, so I'm gonna behave today. But if we can find a way to keep Negroes in check, we're gonna keep Negroes in check. Now, y'all know I didn't want to say Negroes, but that's not what they say. But if it's a way to keep you in check, society is going to do it. So what I want to do today is expose some of that and show you how we get out of it. So that's just one example. So if you're on public assistance, understand it's a trap. So I have a relative who's on public assistance, and I'm going to tell you, man, to say that a person only receives just a few dollars every month, the nails are dead, toes dead, hair dead, everything dead. And all that did takes about 50% of what they get. The food stamps make up the rest of the difference, and then people beg for the rest of it. And that's a cycle. A cycle. I'm waiting for someone to call me and ask for help for tuition. Hey, cuz, can you help me with tuition? So I can go to trade school. So I'll share with you what my family is doing, but I mention that because, we have a trucking company, and when young men get out of prison, sometimes it's difficult for them to find jobs, and we're trying to find a way to get them to get the CDL to try to get past that record on there, because sometimes when you're insured a certain way, the insurance company wants to know. We as a company don't have a problem giving somebody a chance, but sometimes that record can jeopardize our insuring them. But the point is, get the CDL anyhow. And guess what happened 2 weeks ago? So when ICE got to going because of the immigration thing, my son called us and he said, Dad, the trucks aren't moving today. Well, why not? Man, ICE just came in and all the Hispanics just scattered. Now there's nobody to work the docks to load the containers so we can move them. And that didn't just happen in Savannah, that happened everywhere. And so now, let me just be clear, everybody, because if you're not clear, you don't understand how the dots will connect. So now you have some lawmakers thinking twice about this dictatorship. They go, whoa, hold on. We didn't know it was going to impact the port. See, the port is about white. Now, folks, please allow me to be truthful here today, okay? Because if I'm not playing, I'm wasting your time and my time. You see, everything sounds good on the campaign and politically until you start realizing how you gonna make it really happen. Because what they didn't think about was you can import all the illegal aliens you want or whatever you want to call it. You can do all of that. You know what they didn't think about? Who's going to do the dirty work now? Who can do the dirty work now? And they realize how important everybody is to the economy, including illegal people. These farms, and where all the food comes from and so forth, who are you going to find with proper paperwork to go out there and do that? We ain't got to go that far. Right here in Miami. You got people here trying to do the best they can to get the American dream, and they may not be legal, but they're doing a whole lot of jobs that nobody else ain't going to do. Now, folks, I'm not being political in terms of what's going on. This is America. America has never been right. This country has never been right. So don't give me all this about this, that, and everybody here is an immigrant, including the Native Americans. The Garden of Eden wasn't here in North America. Hello, somebody. Everybody's an immigrant here. So just understand how the dots connect. So the Hispanics scattered, and now there was nobody. So now they're trying to figure out, a certain party. They're now trying to figure out how to get them back. Well, maybe we can work out some compromises. No, y'all want all gone. No, y'all want to make America great again. And it is really great now. It is really great. But you don't think about the consequences of greatness until it hits your pocket. And all of a sudden, oh, we don't like that greatness. We thought it was just about keeping black people in check. Oh, we didn't know it was going to impact my bottom line. And now you got people and organizations who voted saying, well, we made a mistake. And honestly, it didn't matter who you voted for. America is headed in a bad place. Okay? For biblically, I stand on the word of God. If Harris had gotten it, there's some biblical problems that we have. We didn't have a good choice. Okay? So understand that's where we are. That's the spending power that we have. These things are cultural traps. Because these are things where you spend money. By the way, Dr. Calvin Rock, years ago, about 30 years ago now, at the pastors' conference in Oakwood, he and his wife were having a roundtable open session with the pastors, and he made a comment that I shall never forget. I was a pastor with only a few years' experience. He said, the worst investment in America is an automobile. Now, mind you, we need automobiles. Get a car. We all have cars because we need transportation. But don't look at it as an investment. Which means when you get that car, keep it. Keep it until the wheels fall off. Keep it. Put oil in it, change it, the whole 9 yards. Again, we need a car. Get a good car. But the point is, don't change out every 3 or 4 years if you can help it. Now, mind you, folks, I'm talking, some people I'm not talking to. If you're okay and you can do that, it's fine. I'm talking to those who may not have that privilege. Understand, because you have it in your budget doesn't mean you can afford it. Nor does it mean it's a good idea. The point is, if you get a good car, keep it, but it's not, you're going to lose money. Okay? Now, my wife and I, we're blessed. We're blessed because we have not, this year, we have not had a car payment in 20 years. 2004. And the reason why it's 20 instead of 24 is because when we were leaving Dallas to go to the North American Division, true story, I was driving a Lincoln Town Car, Signature Series. I love my Lincoln. We got the car packed. The garage has all our stuff for the movers to come. We get ready to go to Maryland. We got up early that morning, got in the car, cranked the car up. All this white smoke came from my engine, blew on the spot. Now, thank God we didn't get on the highway. So I had to get another car. Hence, 4 years, that was 2001. So I paid that off, and I haven't done it ever since. And so I'm going to show you how, when you see my little Mustang out here, that's 2004 with 238,000 original miles on it. And all I need to do is put gas in it. It looks pretty good too, doesn't it? Oh yeah, you put some chrome on it, put some bling bling on it. People love my car, but it's paid for. And I'm gonna show you, but I'm gonna show you also how I'm using that car to bless others. And that's what part of this workshop is about. I'm gonna show you how to turn it around. So understand the purpose by which you got these things. But let me just start with that on the top, because I usually come with that a little later. An automobile can be your worst investment if you keep investing in that space. If you got a car, keep it. If you were planning on getting another car, do something else with that money. But again, keep it running, keep it safe. I take that car, I want to make sure my suspension system is good. Now, mind you, I don't drive, my wife, she gets mad at me sometimes because it can go faster. I don't drive that car over 65 miles an hour. So she's like, honey, can we speed up a little bit? No, this is my car, this is my baby. You know, I know what I got and I'm gonna take care. I'm gentle with my car, okay? And so forth. Now, it's a Mustang, it can do better than that, but there ain't nothing wrong with it. It's doing good, I want it to stay that way. In the fast lane, people be cutting me off and muscling me and about to take my front bump, but I don't care, it's paid for. All right? But these are cultural traps. Cultural traps. And I'm gonna deal with some of those in just a little bit. So therefore, I argue that we have too much money, but it's for the wrong stuff. That's the thesis. We got a lot of money, but we're investing in the wrong stuff. And I'm gonna show you how to turn it around here in just a bit. And so, I told you earlier, so therefore I argue that we have too much money for this stuff. Where is ownership in real estate, in banking, in science, and technology, and education? See, those are conversations we're not having at Thanksgiving at our round tables, okay? Are we talking about, within our family constructs, do we have educational funds for our kids who want to go to college? Doesn't take a whole lot of money, everybody. It just takes starting, okay? If your child's gonna go to Oakwood, it's gonna cost to go to Oakwood. Now let me just get this out the way. Now here's what problem I have. The church don't mind helping, but you know, you go to people's house and they got all of the premium channels. Each one costs $45 a month. You got 10 of them. But you want us, the church, to help pay tuition for Oakwood. Now, I don't know if people, maybe that's okay, but I have a problem with that because I just get whatever comes through the internet is free, and that's all I watch. So I just pay that one internet free. I get internet, so I get YouTube, and I do the Netflix, and good point. So what we did, well, when I get to the get out of debt part, bring that back to me. Well, she won't be saying that. So what we did early on as part of getting out of debt, because I haven't gotten it yet, we made a decision when we got putting our budgets together. I'm going to show you how a simple strategy of how, now I hope you got something to write with because you can't remember all this stuff. So if you need some white paper, we got some paper in here, we'll give it to you because you need to take notes on this stuff, okay? But in terms of a strategy, a simple strategy for getting out of debt, what she's referring to is what we did. Okay, what we did. And we've been living debt-free for about 30 years. Now, that doesn't mean we've not accumulated any debt. We've been living debt-free for 30 years. Yeah, right here. See, in our minds, in our mentality, we don't want debt. Now, there are times we've had to incur debt. Don't get it twisted. But we don't live for debt. I learned a valuable lesson marrying a West Indian person, a person from the West Indies. My wife's from Jamaica. When we got married, and I was still in school, my last year at Oakwood, and she couldn't wait, so she made me marry her. And so we got married, got a little apartment, and we don't have any furniture. So she was cool. Like, we got the apartment. We got these little folding chairs in here that we borrowed from somebody's church. By the way, if y'all have any Bethany's church, y'all please return our chairs, please. All right. I know there are a few out there someplace. All right. But we were good, and I said, baby, I got to get furniture. She said, well, we don't have any money for furniture. Oh, no, we're going to go to the store and get what we want. We're going to finance it. And she said, what? What do you mean finance it? Oh, yeah, you put a couple of dollars down, and then you pay monthly and so forth. And, well, they had interest at the end, so how much we end up paying? So I was giving her the number. Oh, no, we ain't doing that. I said, oh, yeah, no, that's how we do it. She said, no, how we do it is we save until we get the money to buy the furniture. Cultural trap. And that was our first time getting in there, and the furniture we bought was not even worth financing it. And I think we got that for 24 months. And 2 years later, by the time I got a call to be a pastor in the field, that furniture was done. Whereas I had just saved a little bit more, I'd had something of quality. And would have been okay. She won on that one, and she would never let me live it down. Okay? But again, lesson learned, okay? But again, cultural traps. Because everybody does that. And if that's the word of how you do it and that's the access you have, understand that just because you have access and all of the things, zero down, no payments for 24 months, cultural traps. What do you call them? The loan shark commercials, $300 here and there and so forth. You know they're only catering to a certain demographic, right? You know those commercials on, I got $700. They're catered to a certain demographic. So what we have to do as a people, these are the things we need to talk about and break these cultural traps. Because when the question comes why we have no money, it's because of the cultural traps. We're spending a lot more money than what we should be because of the cultural traps. Let me move on here. I'm going to get down to something. These are just talking points. So, first of all, this gets into the nitty-gritty. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands, but I hope everybody in here has a budget. I'm not going to ask anybody to raise their hands. Now, let me tell you, can somebody tell me what is a budget supposed to do? Anybody?
It's really just expenses, to allocate your expenses to be sure that you don't have $5,000 in your checking account and say, for instance, your bill only come $2,000. You want to be sure you can take that $3,000 and save it.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes. Keep you on track. Excellent. If somebody can get another mic so that those streaming can hear the comments, so we can get another. Oh, I'm sorry. Here's one right here.
How about money management?
Yeah. Money management. Okay. Any others? Reason why there's a budget. Purpose of a budget. Yes.
To compare your expenses and your income, so that you can meet your expenses.
Let me help you understand something. Anybody else? Yeah. Your household is just like a business. It's a business. And if you want that business to work for you, as Brother Terry says, you got to set up a management system whereby you know if that business is profitable. Now, I give our ancestors credit, my mom and dad in particular. Dad and mom managed our household out of their wallets and their purse. And they did well at it. They didn't make a lot of money, but they did well at it. And that budget helped give us direction for where we want to go. So the budget is about tell me where you want to go first. So the mistake we do is we create a budget without definition. Well, where do you want to go? We know what a budget is, but tell me where you want to go. You don't just establish it and just let it be there. And so what happens is if I'm coming under budget and there's $200 a month left over, okay, what's the plan for that? What are we going to do with this? If I'm over, okay, now I got to pause right here and cut some things so at least I can break even. In our businesses, we say, we don't always have to make any money, but we definitely want to lose any money because we give a lot of stuff away. And we know our benchmark is how much we can give away. We don't have to make any money, but we definitely want to lose any money. That budget gives you direction. It helps you to set goals. And then your goals ought to be short-term and long-term. In the short term, here's what an extra $200 a month is going to mean. For the next 12 months, that's $2,400. Here's what I can do. And have a target and know where you want. I'm just running through this. Know where you want to go with that. But now in your budget, in order for that budget to be really effective and working for you, let's deal with this debt trap thing first. Let's just agree that debt is not good. So Dr. Roland Hill wrote a book years ago, and he came to our camp meeting and spoke to the pastors, and I was so impressed with what he shared because I never heard that before. He allowed me to go to his home in Memphis and sit with him for a whole day, and he took my wife and I through the whole program. His program was called Good. It was called Good. Good means get out of debt. The Good program. That was years ago, okay? Another one of his real good book is called Theoeconomics. Theoeconomics, and it's out there. I'm a fan of this guy. He's biblical, and the Lord has blessed his work. But in his book, he deals with the pyramid. I don't have a picture of the pyramid. These are just talking points, but it's very simple. The way we got out of debt it's a pyramid system that you use. You start with the least debt you have, whatever that balance is, you put that at the top of the pyramid, okay? And then so forth as they become greater. When you target that first one, boom, I got it paid for. Well, now you roll that money into the second one. Still working within the budget. And then the third, and then the fourth, and now all of a sudden, man, I got $800 a month left. It's now rolling into that big debt. And usually in 6 months, that's gone. I remember what it felt like the first time we owed nobody nothing. It was an unfamiliar space we had never been in before. And then you have children. Then you have tuition. And then life happens all over again. But the point is to not have to have the freedom. And everybody can have that, but you have to work at it. Have a plan and be determined. Here's where I want to live. And everybody, what I'm talking about here is a lifestyle. So you have to choose to have a lifestyle where you say, I choose to live debt-free. And so when pandemic comes and everything else comes, it's going to hit everybody, but it will hit you least. Why? Because you don't have all this extra stuff. All you have is necessary stuff. Just what it takes to live. But you don't have all the credit card stuff and so forth. And by the way, people who have, I didn't deal with that on this right here, but people who have multiple credit cards, you're going to stay in debt. I would suggest have one credit card, pay it off as soon as you can, and keep it for emergency purposes only. And then most experts will tell you you only use it if you can pay the balance off at the end of the month. Folks, this is what I'm saying is not It's been around for a minute. But that's why we come to the church now to have our conversation. Some of you who are in business, you understand what I'm talking about. Number one with a credit card, okay? And so, and get one that allows you to have points. I have a United Visa, so that every dollar I spend, I get $2 back in miles, okay? And so when I come in with 1 million miles or whatever I come in with, well, that's not all traveling from the North American division. That's credit coming back from spending. And it's all targeted on one card, okay? But a lot of times, if you have too many, it's too tempting. Because when it says, here's the watchword, it's called available credit. That's the trap. You ought to be praising the Lord for available credit, that it stays available. And you want the available credit to get to the point of the limit on the credit card, the maximum amount. That's where you want to get to. Available credit does not mean, oh, you go out and spend some more. Use it for emergency purposes only if you can. Now, folks, take everything within reason. If there's an emergency, you got to do what you got to do. During COVID, a lot of people who were out of debt had to live. Jobs were shut down and so forth. And thank God they had the available credit. And now many of them are on a track now to get rid of that. And 2 years later, many of them are working their way out of it if that's how you live. Okay? So we need to get in that. Should we save or invest? Somebody said, I meant to leave that illustration up there. Well, you give God something, and then you pay yourself, and then you pay your bills, and so forth. Some people say, well, they pay themselves 5%, an extra tithe, or whatever. Let me go a little further than that. I want to pay myself all my money back. Now, that's not realistic because I have obligations. But the point is, I'm not willing to tip myself. I want to be able to hold on. We want to be able to hold on as much as we can. This idea of saving 10% and so forth, whatever, no. The whole idea is to reduce your obligations to the point that if you can keep 50% of your income, you're blessed. And many think they cannot get there. You look at on your budget and look at, okay, if I only had my necessary obligations only, how much a month would that have to be? You'd be surprised. I'm talking about your food, insurance, and so forth. Look at what that and look at it as being out of debt, and look at what that amount is. You'd be surprised how much you can really pay yourself. My goal is, if we can keep it all, you don't have to pay anybody anything. Lord help us. Okay. The other thing is, I'm gonna share something with you towards the end about savings. The whole savings part is something that many are most ignorant about in terms of how to save. If you look at going to any bank right now, and you look at if you put your money in a savings account, what kind of interest are they offering you? Yet people do it every day. Why? Why do you think they do that? You laughing, Jesus? What? No. Why do you think? No, look at it. People go in the bank, and the bank says, we ain't giving you nothing. And yet people leave their money in there. Why do you think they do that? Anybody? Okay. Take the microphone. Can we get this microphone over here? It's on, it's just not up.
And that's what they was taught. They just going by what their parents did or, what they learned.
Yeah. See, what happens is, culturally in America, America is interesting. We have an interesting economy here. People are going to tell you we ain't going to pay you nothing, and you're going to still leave $1,000 in there to draw nothing. As Americans, we are most ignorant when it comes to saving strategies than most competitive countries in the world. Because back in the day, the safest place for my grandmother, I didn't see my mother do it, my grandmother, my father's sister, and so forth, was in a handkerchief. It was right down here. And my auntie had a little, she had a little blade with her too, by the way. So you go down there if you want, you can get cut. I'm sorry, y'all. No, but the savings account was right here in a handkerchief. Remember they had a handkerchief, they rolled it up and had it right down. That was their safe place. So culturally, they didn't trust banks. Because remember, we're still living in the shadows of Black Wall Street in Tulsa. See, your history follows, and people don't forget. We did all the right things. We created the thing, and I said to somebody the other day, the problem with Black Wall Street in Tulsa, they invested in everything except for an army. They didn't invest in an army. With all that money, you didn't invest in your security system. So here, whites who were starving, these people were living through the Depression, living well. And you starving, you got all that? They didn't have a security system. So the point I'm making is, we will go into a place, invest our money because we have not educated ourselves on any other option. Let me just show you something here. For those who've not been in my study, you're welcome to go in at any time. And I think you got some of my books, right? So, I'm messing with you. Luck's got some of my books. But you're welcome to come in any time and check it out. But I want to show you something. These are just a few books that my wife and I pulled off the shelf yesterday. I haven't bought a book on wealth in about 10, 15 years. All these books are old. If you've never read or given this to your kid, The Richest Man in Babylon, The Richest Man in Babylon. Now, I bought this book at 3 different seasons. You see how the book cover changes for each one? That's how long the word has been out. And each time it's been new release, it's been a New York bestseller. The Richest Man in Babylon. It should be on Amazon. It's there. I got 3, so I would give you 2, but I'm going to give these to my grandkids. The point I'm making is information. And people go, you read all those books in my office? No, I just love looking at them. We don't have information, and because you don't have information, we don't make wise decisions. So you leave your money in a bank that tells you we ain't giving you nothing for it, and you walk away, and so forth, okay? In terms of wealth, I just want to break out, wealth is not just about money, and you can go ahead of me here. It's about all these things right here, okay? You're talking about lifestyle, because some people think wealth is financial, and your physical wealth is crumbling, and if that's broken, your money means nothing. So you want to have physical wealth at the same time. Take care of yourself. Be healthy, okay? Reason we don't share information. Ignorance, selfishness, greed, secrecy, okay? We find out something, we ain't telling nobody. Yes, somebody take the microphone to the back. My sister, Ole. Sister Ole, I got it. And Elizabeth. Today's a good day because you can't remember people's names.
Yes, Pastor. In regards to the money in the bank, what are some options? I know you have stocks,
I'm going to come to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to come to
Thank
that.
you.
Right now, I'm just acknowledging the problem, and then we're going to deal with some solutions before it's over.
All right, thank
and
you.
so forth. Because it's going to get really, but we have to make a transition before I do that, so I'm coming to that. Okay? But I was going someplace with this. Yeah, so we don't share anything with anybody, and so we find out things, and we don't pass it on to the rest of the family. I'm going to show you something today that my wife and I shared at our last family reunion. Yeah. You see, family reunion, everybody drinking, having a good time and so forth, and talking about nothing. We need to change the dialogue. We need to change the conversation. I'm going to share that with you in a little bit. Personal investment, set priorities, educate yourself. Visit other neighborhoods. One of the best lessons I learned about business, I do not have a business degree, but I love business. One of the best lessons I learned about business was from a Jewish man downtown Brooklyn on Delancey Street. Delancey. I went into the store. You remember how the boom boxes back in the day? And in the Jewish stores in the Jewish area of downtown Brooklyn, they got in the windows they got all these boom boxes, and so I went to buy a boom box. I was up there supposed to be working in the evangelistic meeting, but I'm on my day off. I'm trying to buy a boom box, so I went in the store I'm visiting other neighborhoods. Went in the store to buy the boom box, and I don't remember how much it was. And the guy says the amount in the window said one thing. I went in there. He said, "Yes, here's something." I said, "Hey, I don't have that much." He said, "How much can you pay?" I said, "Man, I don't have that." "Well, how much can you pay?" "Well, how much can you give it to me for?" "Well, I'll take $20 off." "I ain't got $20. I said, "Well, you know what? Now, mind you, there are a lot of stores just like that with boom boxes in it. So we couldn't come to a deal, so I'm walking out of the store. He said, hold on. What will you give it for? What would you give it to me for? I said, I'll give it to you for $75. I'll take it for $75. Okay. I gave him the $75. I got the boom box. I was walking out the store, and I got curious. So I said, let me ask you a question. I said, what made you do that? What made you change your mind and gave it to me for this low rate? And he said, when you started negotiating with me, you gave me information. I said, what was that? I knew you had money in your pocket. And he said, all I'm thinking about is I can't eat off of inventory. I need that money out of your pocket. So although I want to sell it for $200, now mind you, the quality's not all that and so forth. It's probably only worth about $100. So I'm gonna take some. All he knows is that I can take that $75. That's a sale. And because it's a sale, I can eat. I learned something from that. And so even as a business owner, our thought is, nobody cares how much it costs. You got money in your pocket. How can we make a deal? That's what I mean by visiting other neighborhoods. Sometimes you got to get out of your space and go into other places and learn what other people learn. It was just too much for us this week because we came back from workers' meeting. I was really tired. I really wanted to display some stuff for you. Now, we're going to show you some stuff towards the end here. But I think I explained earlier how we're going to do that. So here's what I mean by visiting other neighborhoods. So the Lord has blessed me in particular. My wife has been to a few places with me. But when I talk about preaching in 42 countries around the world, pretty much I've collected something from every country I've been to. I'm going to show you some stuff in a little bit that I learned while visiting another neighborhood. It's going to blow your mind. Somebody's going to get help here today. So my first time going to Africa, I was so excited because I'd never been to Africa. Went to Kenya on a mission trip. So in the mission trip, everybody's all excited about going on the safari. And it was in July or August somewhere when there was a migration of the wildebeest. So you got millions of wildebeest, it's amazing people to see. The migration across the Serengeti of the wildebeest, and that was amazing to see. We saw everything. And so once I saw that one time, I didn't need to see it no more. But everybody else wanted to go back every day, see the same thing over and over and over again. So while they were out seeing the same thing they saw a couple of days before, I'm out here learning the Kenyan economy. I'm pricing real estate. I'm down in the Kibera slums, which is the second largest slum in the world, second to Soweto. There's a lot you can learn in the slums. There's business in the slums. There's investment opportunities in the slums. We have Adventist churches in the slums. We have Adventist schools in the slums. But visit other neighborhoods, and I'm learning. So when I went to Moscow, preached for 10 days, I can articulate right now what I learned in Moscow. What I learned in the Ukraine, I can articulate what I learned in the Ukraine. One of my favorite places for shopping, we love Eastern Europe. Czech Republic, that was Czechoslovakia when we were there, but Czech Republic now and the Balkans, all that. Because when you visit other neighborhoods, you learn what's valuable there. And what's valuable there that's valuable around the world. And so the best Bohemian crystal in the world comes out of that region of the country. Let me tell you how real it is. So we went to Czechoslovakia at the time, Czech Republic, and we bought a beautiful vase, a vase. And we were coming back, and we got held up at security as we were going through security. As our stuff is going through, the guy said, "Whoa." I'm sorry, it was once we got back to the States, they were x-raying everything. They go, "What's that?" And they stopped us on this side because they're not familiar of this neighborhood. They're trying to figure out what is a strange thing in his bag. If you take real pure crystal and put it under an x-ray machine, it looks like a block of lead. Isn't that something? So all they were seeing was a block of lead. And they looked at it, and it was a crystal vase. Now, that tells you something about the quality of that. So the next time I went, you know what homeboy did, right? I got a few pieces. Visit other neighborhoods. Okay? When you take that cruise, don't Uber where everybody else is shopping. No, go inland. Because see, that's tourist right there, but it's cultural 10 miles in. And find out what's really valuable in Honduras. What's really valuable in I forget the other neighboring country there. But what's really valuable? Visit other neighborhoods. I'm saying it to a people of color, a minority people in particular. Visit other neighborhoods. You'll learn a lot. Okay, I need to get to something here. I'm watching my time very carefully. Okay, research. Do your homework. Okay. If I had a few extra dollars right now and talking about what to do with money and so forth, the blessing of everybody in here right now is that you have access to a world church. And we have a structure where every country in the world, we have representatives. We have general conference session this year. I don't know how many you're going. It's worth going just to network, just to meet people from other countries. Because I'm not being selfish as I say this, I'm just saying you're not visiting to see what you can get, but you're visiting as a way of networking and educating yourself. Okay? There's a lot more I can say about that, but I'm not. Okay? But I don't have it on here. But let me just say one last thing, and then I'm gonna move. What did I do with my clicker? Oh. One of the things that, one last, Theodore, I can't get my, okay, I can't change it, but let me say this. In terms of networking, a couple of weeks ago, a month or so ago, in one of our board meetings, our first elder made a suggestion that was really great. She said, you know, we don't always know, Pastor, who does what and so forth. So we went around the table, and everybody shared what they did in their professions, whether they went to school, what degrees they hold, and like interests, and where they lived. And we were all shocked by each other for what others who live here didn't know about the other. And we got some impressive people in this church who are very gifted, very talented. But when I got through going around the table, my thought was, what would happen if we pool all this together? Pool our talents, our gifts, our know-how, the things we do, pool it together for kingdom purposes. Is it working out? Okay, because I got to get to a certain slide. But if we network, you see, James and Maxine Black, by ourselves, we're limited. We're limited. We can't do much. But when we network, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit, I'm going to show you what my family did. And this one I'm excited to show you in a minute. But when we network and pool it together, all of a sudden, I was weak over here, but when I got next to Sister Williams, oh, we strong now. Shanika, come over here. Now we're really strong. Janice, come over here. See now what's happening? We're talking about kingdom stuff, and we're not talking about we're talking about kingdom stuff. And by networking, we become stronger together. And so we've already dealt with income defined and so forth. I need to get to something, but let me say one last thing here, because all this is what you will determine in what you do here. These are just talking points. The last point on this slide here is this. I credit Myron Golden. Take the name down. You can Google him on YouTube. He's actually a former pastor, but probably number one out there in terms of investing and knowing strategies and so forth. I was listening to Myron Golden one day, and Myron said something that got my attention, and this changed my life. And when you go through a health crisis and you come out on the other side, your whole life changes, because now you see life differently. Because you think, what would have happened if I didn't come out of that health crisis? But he said something one day that got my attention. He said, in America, we work 40 hours and we get one paycheck. He said, so I was working a job one day and I put in those 40 hours and I got the paycheck. He said, I looked at the paycheck and I thought about the 40 hours. And he said, man, it took me 40 hours to get this little old paycheck. He said, this is not working. Something is wrong with this. He said, from that moment, he decided to flip the switch. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to look for 40 ways to get paid for 1 hour. Look it up, it's on YouTube. I said, whoa, you know, you rewind something. Did I hear him right? And it made so much sense. Talking about passive income and other forms of income. So he says, stop and think about it, people. Look at the ways, and I'm going to illustrate for you in just a second. Look at the ways in which, see, we're so stuck in the I've got this job, even as a professional. I've got this job. It's secure. I got benefits, and it's working for me now, and it gives me a salary, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, or whatever. It gives me this, and so I'm safe. but you're stuck and you're trapped. And he says, as creative as each one of you are, he said, man, I'm going to see how many, if I put a good 1 hour into digging deep, how many paychecks can I get for 1 hour? And he messed my head up. My wife and I, we went and got on our knees. We started talking to God, said, Lord, this makes sense. It doesn't make sense. We're working ourselves to death. 160 hours a month. For those who get paid weekly, 4 paychecks. Bi-weekly, 2 paychecks. Salary, 1 month, whatever. And when I retired, my wife would tell you, I lost my mind. I said, Lord, however you can open up the door, because my thought was, in retirement, I want to be a blessing to people who are undeserved, and we were on that track before we came here. But I need resources to make that happen. Oh, I missed the point earlier. See, we have more money than we have resources. I meant to make that point earlier. It skipped my mind. See, you can have money and no resources. Make sure you have resources. Resources can do what money cannot do. Okay? But we're out there, and I said, Lord, for me to do the ministry that I want to do, and so forth, I need help. I need income. I need money to make it happen. That's the reality. I'm retired now. I can't go to the North American Division. I can't call a union or a conference and say, help me, or the local churches. No. You're on your own, bruh. And once I got that 1 hour for 40 paths of income, I'm going to teach it everywhere I go. And I'm going to show you what we as a family did. Oh, I'm sorry. Where am I pointing to, Theodore? Pointing up there? Huh? Okay. See, here's the thing. In the gold mining process, you see a wheelbarrow up here. I didn't have a chance to set the whole thing up. But I wish I had my whole display. There was supposed to be a map in front of the wheelbarrow to show you the process for gold mining. You can have a desire to look for gold, but if you don't own the land, you can't get a claim. Don't think that because the gold is there, you can just go get it. You got to have a claim. And that's where the map would have come in. And where the map would have come in, once you get the claim, you got to dig for it. You got to search for it. That's where the wheelbarrow came. And that little roller thing we had, I was going to have the roller thing from the wheelbarrow with a bucket at the end. And after the bucket at the end, I was going to have a money bag. There's a process for searching for gold. And then you need to know what gold looks like so you know what you're having. I'm sorry. You got fool's gold. Oh, we struck gold. Until you go to check it in, they say this has no value. Go to a bank, ask the bank manager to show you what gold looks like. They'll do it. I'm thinking about, just see, people, those are things you can do. Take your grandkids. Take your children. Let them see what does silver look like. See, there's a process. You touch it, excavate it, but at the end of the day, you got to have a claim. I am told, and Kim, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the property, those lots that we own across the street and down the, some of the brethren got together, put their pennies together, and they purchased the land when they were able to get it pennies on the dollar. And Bethany benefits now all these years later. And they may have just thought about this, hey man, did you know that we can get this land done? Well, I got a couple hundred, you got a couple. And they network and they put it together. It wasn't about who had more than, it was for kingdom's sake. And the church has the deed to that. But it started with the land. And by the way, a church in our situation where we're trying to regrow and trying to rebuild and so forth, that's a blessing now all these years later. You would never know what kind of situation. Oh, by the way, Bethany. Oh, thank you, Lord. We ain't going to be on the church revitalization list very long. Because after the workers' meeting, we're doing better than some of those who are not on the list. I'm sitting in the group with Region 5. They ain't feeling sorry for us. And one of the pastors said, Black man, you need to stop talking about this revitalization thing, man. We over here struggling. And while we complaining about, well, no. See, it's a mind game also. No, we ain't gonna just live in revitalization. We're here to build kingdom. And we grow. Don't accept empty seats. Don't accept this thing. And everything is a strategy. To find gold is a strategy. And so your pastor does very little off the top of his head. I may not be able to explain it. And let me give you an example, or you will never find gold. How should I say this? The only way any church of any denomination that is suffering post-pandemic is going to grow is that you got to impact a younger demographic. So when the pastor jumps up and I'm doing stuff and whatnot, everybody laughs, it's a dynamic. See, while you're thinking, well, no. Here's the next thing on the program. Young people don't care about what's next on the program. Oh, you know, man, Pastor Black, boy, I tell you, when I talk about that moment, see, that grabs people. I said to my elder, I said, every service we do here, every sermon I preach, I go back and I rewind and I listen to it. Why? Because I'm a student of preaching. And I learned something. And I'm thinking, I want to make sure my messages are catering to a younger generation where people love to tune in because their kids are watching. And without you even knowing, you've noticed I've had a few props here and there. It won't be every week. There's a strategy. And so if you're not on social media, you can't see the growth. Because you're only judging the growth based on what you see on Sabbath morning. And just before I started to preach, I went on YouTube to see how many people were watching live. That's information. That's tracking. So we know where we are. Finding gold is no different. If you don't have a strategy and know-how, you will never, ever find it. Okay? So let me go to a place, because I want to leave room for questions. So let me know when it's 3:30, because I want to shift and leave room for questions. We're not going out here past 4. I'm not going to do that. Okay. Thoughts to consider. Black people in America have too much money and very few of this. Resources. Our lifestyles are sometimes expensive, and we can't afford the lifestyle we have, but we got it anyhow. I remember when my son bought a nice leather, Fat Albert leather jacket. That jacket cost about $500. That's back in the day. It was very expensive. Now, he owed me money at the time. So y'all know what happened, right? That was my jacket up until about 2 or 3 years ago when we sold it on eBay. Oh, no, brother, you're going to owe me money and you're going to order a Fat Albert jacket. That was a nice leather jacket, too. Thank you, I love this jacket. I'm going to get my money back. But lifestyle can be expensive. Break the poverty cycle. How do you break the poverty cycle? It starts with you saying, I refuse poverty. It starts with you. Shanique can get up ready to come up in just a minute. I'm going to give you a few minutes just to say, just to talk about. I've covered. Okay. But I'm gonna tell them what you do, and how they have access to you. But break the poverty cycle. Okay. The need for something different, everybody. Keep thinking about that. Whatever it is, that's your agenda. Okay. You can read for yourself. Invest in people. Design for planning. Learn to plant. This is a good time to do this right now. So some of the stuff up here, before I display a few things, I can give you these slides and stuff so you can get this stuff and read for yourself. It's there. I'm not going to do it next Sabbath, but I want to get it out of the way because it kind of ties in to this. I want to do a training on how to survive martial law in the United States. I can tell you right now, almost none of us are ready. And yet we go through the book Preparation for the Final Crisis and think we're ready. Preparation for the Final Crisis is a good book, but it's a combination of a lot of one-sided comments that people pull from Ellen White, and it does not give a balanced picture of last day's events. And nobody's going to tell you that truth. The quotations are, you know what with the quotations, but when you do a compilation, you pull from a certain area, Messages to Young People, which is a great book, but a lot of those comments were negative because they were compilations. Be careful of the Conflict of Ages is not a compilation. That's writing from start to finish. The Conflict of Ages, the testimony, that's not a compilation. Anytime you start getting quotes from all over the place, somebody is controlling that. And so the reason why people hate Ellen White so much is because she gets blamed for stuff that she didn't intend it. She didn't do no compilation. She wrote complete books. We go back and pull quotations out and make it seem as if you worship like this, and you do this, and you don't do this, and she said this, and she said that, and so forth. And before you know it, she gets blamed for stuff she didn't have no. So how do we prepare for last days? It's in Daniel and Revelation from a spiritual standpoint, but Jesus says, occupy till I come. How do we occupy? I'm changing, I'm coming back. This right here is a stove. It's a stove. I can cook on this and I can feed this whole church. I'm going to break this down when I do it, but I'm just showing you something. This is a stove. This right here is called a bug-out bag. A bug-out bag. It's not completed. We have about 6 of these. I wasn't supposed to tell you that. If something happened, and my wife grabs one, and I grab one, we can last easily from anywhere from 30 to 60 days. And when I do this, I'm going to display everything so you can see what you need to be purchasing now. You're fortunate not being in the cold, but where my house is in Maryland, they hit record, it was cold. So what if your plaque was in the winter? How do you survive? My daughter had my grandson out winter camping. They've been winter camping all winter long. And they love it now. But you're teaching survival skills where you know stuff. So we're going to share with you where you get the bug-out bag. Once it's all filled out, they're inside, but they're like 7 or 8 little packs, compartments that are attached to this whole thing. So when it's full, is big and so forth, and this is about survival. Okay? And by the way, I did a workshop at the North American Division for fun, and they ended up publishing the thing. That's how popular it became. Because the church realized we weren't here talking on one-sided preparation, and when COVID hit, we weren't even ready for that. We buying toilet paper and paper towels. What sense did that make? So this is a bug out bag, and I'm going to explain some of these things to you. But anyhow, at the end of the day, you got to have a power supply. You won't be carrying no batteries with you. The sun will be your energy power source. Okay? Where do you order these supplies from? Where do you get it? That's easy. But there are networks that educate you in terms of what you need to know. And we have paid for the training, we've gotten the training, and I'm bringing it to my church. Now, so understand, some things I may choose not to live stream. Okay? And you'll understand why in a few minutes. But the point is, information and ignorance thereof, we're left unprotected. Unprotected. And so this is just a little bit of what I'm sharing with you. I want to close out now by showing you something, because that's where the rubber meets the road. Here's what we did. I'm going to give this to you. In retirement, I refused to be broke anymore. So for 2 years, my family and I, we went on a journey, and we networked, and we pooled all our resources together. And here are some of the things, we established the Black Family Kingdom Business Network. You can't see this, I'm afraid, my apologies for that, but again, between my wife, myself, and my children, these are the business opportunities that we were able to create and establish just within our network and coming together. So at the top, have the Van Group Publishing, which we give a gift, and we're going to give a gift to the Bethany Church for a project that's going to help us here, and probably even with the Georgettes. We'll talk about that another later. I got a surprise for y'all about that one, but Kingdom Business Ministry Services, Black Family Organic Farms. Remember I told you that I almost bought a 400-acre farm before I came here, and so forth. All that was part of the plan. God says, no, don't do that. You have another platform. Black Family Wellness Centers. That's something that my wife and my daughter was doing. We had already did a brochure and launched out. And God says, no, I don't want that to be your platform. I want the local church to be your platform. The Wellness Center, we had already, I think I got a picture of the brochure. We'd already done that. I can't see too well with this. Mac Financial Services, that's my daughter's piece. Boone Logistics, that's our transportation thing. And then the Black Family Foundation. And under that are the things that we actually do now. So at your next family reunion, So Mary and Aunt Pauline won't be arguing this time because y'all got something to talk about now. See, we got the answers. We just not having the conversations. And we're broke on purpose for nothing. And it's right there before us. Sorry, that was too small. This is a combination of all the things that we have. By the way, in Lexington, at the last North American Division Pastors Conference in 2023 in Lexington, this was part of the presentation I gave to the pastors who attended. I think we had about 6,000 pastors and wives, and my wife and I were presenters, and we presented the Black Family Kingdom Business Network to them to show how outside of the church doesn't have to own everything. There are people who are resourceful in the church. Let's support you. I don't own your stuff. You own your stuff. And these are some of the things that was currently on our list at the time, okay? This right here, I have a connection to everyone. These are just some of the things. We have you see that yellow Mustang? That's just one picture of how it looked before it was restored. Okay? Y'all see my deuce and a quarter there? That green. Who know about the deuce and a quarter? The Lecture 225. It's in my garage in Maryland. You see my Toyota Supra and my Tahoe. Now, why am I showing those pictures? Not to brag about how many cars I have, but when a guy or gal gets out of prison and they cannot pass a background check, I can show them how I do this. You give me any vehicle, and I have a simple process of how I can turn it around and help them flip it. God has already blessed. I got 2 mechanics within walking distance of this church who are working with me right now. Kim, the gentleman who had these cars in front of the Georgia and so forth, Chip, gonna work with me. You see people, and this is not on the church board agenda. Doesn't have to be. See, we think everything is about us and so forth. No, people, it's happening. So when the person gets out of jail and they can't pass a background check, what do? The church ought to be a center whereby we can help them. Yeah, okay, I'm on with it. So this, that garden tiller, I have a garden tiller and a pressure washer. These were the vegetables from our backyard in Maryland, thanks to Sister First Lady here. And boy, we have more stuff, but you teach them how to do that. You see that soil? That's my grandson's hands. Letting them feel the soil and the importance of planting. And by the way, when we go through how to prepare for martial law, she's going to have a seeds display. And the seeds you have will be the seeds that grows the quickest. So you don't want to have no watermelon seeds. No. You need something you can plant, and in a few days it's coming up, like mustards and so forth, whatever. How many seeds you have at home right now if there's an emergency situation? We're going to help you with that. And by the way, everybody, this is Kingdom Building, so the information you learn here, you go to your neighborhood and you teach the same thing. That becomes an evangelistic opportunity. Does that make sense, everybody? So we're not just here getting information on Sabbath afternoon. No, it's training for you to go back because you are now in the know, and people are interested in this stuff. Young people are interested in what I'm talking about right now. Or they'll come to the table. You watch. They're going to come because nobody is talking about this. Bible study on Sabbath afternoon is all right. Study your Bible during the week. And let's come together for kingdom building and growing the kingdom of God. And let's see what he does up in here. Let's see what he does in this neighborhood. Okay? This was one of my champions. We bred I don't have time, but we did the English Bulldogs. I've done Bull Mastiffs out of South Africa. The dogs was probably, we talking about dogs. The dogs was probably one of our most successful ventures. And my wife would tell you, guys coming out of prison, we had one guy in particular, I taught him everything I know. Didn't he do us well? I can't do English Bulldogs down here. It's too hot. And they sweat between the wrinkles and they get rashes, so they're not good for here. But that little dog right there, them little dogs, that's $250,000 a year easy with little effort. And they're high maintenance. They can't do nothing by themselves. You have to artificially inseminate them at the vet, order your sperm from a champion around the country, they ship it to the vet, they can't breed naturally because of their size. They can't breed. So everything is artificial insemination, and when they deliver, it's by C-section. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But our cousins love them. And my wife would tell you, we had one lady to wire $21,000 into our bank account and got the whole letter. Am I lying, babe? Yeah, they love it. But again, how do you bring economic growth and development to this area? It's this kind of stuff. Because my family, we'll buy a dog, and all you got to do is keep the dog as a pet. But guess what? We had 8 of them. We had 8 of them. Am I making sense, everybody? Okay? So these are just a few of the situations. When we were about to do the wellness, the sober living, we did the brochure, and this is my home in Maryland. We did the brochure for the ministry, but God took us in a different direction. We were ready to go. Ready to go. And this is a profitable thing too, but sometimes it's not about money, it's about listening to God. We were ready to go, and God said no at the last minute, and we learned later why he said no. Okay? And this is the other side of the brochure. This is for sober living. Sober living. So those who have addictions and so forth, and the government provides assistance for that to happen. Okay? My publishing and so forth, these are some of the resources and stuff that we've done. This is another project all by itself. The Juneteenth thing, I think I told you about that once before. These are things, and again, this is the last slide I think I'll show. I want to show you something. If I had bought that farm in Georgia, this is where we were going. And this had nothing to do with the church. I would have been just an individual member with this kind of access. I won't show it to the whole church, but I may show it to the church board in the actual plan for this and how it can impact. Let me say, Bethany is in a community where a lot of people don't have answers for this community. This church will have some answers by God's grace. Let me end there. Bethany Church Board, you're not ready for it yet, but this is what's next for us. And I just want to show you that when it's time, I'll let you know. Right now, I just want to answer. Theodore, you can take it down. I want to show you something. On this stage is how we've been able to bless a lot of people. There are a lot of underserved people in our community. Some of this stuff is old. These cases represent mini malls. A mini mall, supplies. Somebody gets out of prison, we give them a case, and they did well enough where they can buy a house. I went to Macy's one time, and I saw a beautiful necktie, a beautiful tie. The tie was $125. I would never pay $125 for a tie. I looked inside, saw the brand, saw the material, did some research, and found out where Macy orders the ties from in China. So the light came on, and we went to work, and we started a business called For Image Sake. And I got my ties. Now, mind you, we haven't touched this stuff in how many years? 6, 7 years? I got my ties from where Macy got their ties and created a brochure and a program to help returning citizens with criminal records make a decent living. Because they had to put a tie on, put on French cuff shirts with cufflinks and so forth. And my wife would help the ladies with beading and jewelry making and so forth because that's their world and so forth. So I want to show you how the resources in the pew. I'm a pastor now, I can't do this. I work for the Southeastern Conference. But to show you how, just with a little effort and know, how we turn a lot of people's lives around. The things we're talking about, baby, come. The things we're talking about are the things we should be talking about. So if you're not familiar with Alibaba, Alibaba is the network by which all these companies order their stuff out of China, bring them to America, mark the prices up sky high, and everybody buys them. People of color were not supposed to discover Alibaba, but we got our own account. And so what happens is all the expensive brooches that women wear that you were paying $125 for one little brooch. You know how much these things cost out of China? Okay. All of the bow ties that you wear, this same box you see at Macy's and all these Bloomingdale's. All these things. And what we're teaching our returning citizens is that you will never sell crack again. Because crack is not going to give you these kind of returns. But we got all kind of stuff, all kind of stuff. And so I'm just showing you, this is the brochure. Now, mind you, the website is down. We don't do this anymore, but we can. This is the brochure for the program. I go to a corporate building and ask them to let our guys come in and display during lunchtime, and they let guys with criminal records come into their places and display our stuff. And this is what it's called for image sake. Because our tithes and offerings cannot provide all of this for the community, so you have to find a way. And what this presentation was about was showing you how to find a way. So we can choose to be hungry or we can go to work. Yeah, and so the cufflinks come separate, and we buy hundreds of these to put the cufflinks in these. These are sold separately. And these things are like 25 cents. And by the way, I made a big mistake when we were moving the other day. We had about 100 boxes of those, and I thought we were going to use them. I threw them away, and then I found the cufflinks.
He wouldn't listen to me.
I didn't listen. That one's painful. This is all the Macy's stuff. The plastic is sold separate from the ties. These are the expensive silk scarves. We got a ton of this stuff. The black, let me be ethnic. These are the conversations we need to have. How do you get this? So here's why I'm sharing all this with you. Because we got all kind of stuff. Here's where the plane lands. Here's where the plane lands. And I'm going to show you one last thing, and then we're done. We got 10 minutes for questions. Here's where the plane lands. One last trap. It's called income tax refund. It can be a chance for you to get a head start. But most people plan to spend it. I'm going to just leave it there. Another opportunity when money is coming but I'm planning on doing so. It could be a chance to plan to get ahead. Now, I'm gonna make a quick transition before I take questions. Theodore, I'm gonna sign off. I wanna thank those who've been watching. We're gonna continue this. Our Sabbath afternoons at Bethany will be about training and growing our community. We're gonna start inviting our community into these sessions. Advertising because they're interested. The university students are interested. And so thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again on next Sabbath.